Life's best moments are best captured by photography and video. You may ask, why photography and video? Because if a photo is worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000,000. And GPS photography and video will leave you speechless. GPS specializes in weddings, swords, fitness, and so much more. Book your next shoot today at 910-257-0526 or gpsphotoandvideo.com.
Welcome to the Amazon's podcast. I'm Glenn Young, owner of Amazon's fitness magazine. Celebrate the female physique. Subscribe to amazonsfitmag.com. The podcast is brought to you by GPS Photography and Video. Why photography and video? Because if a photo's worth 1,000 words, video's worth 1,000,000. gpsphotoandvideo.com. And Amazon's fitness magazine is a publication of GPS Photography and Video. My guest is IFBB Women's Physique Pro Katie Younger from Columbus, Ohio, which when I first reached out to her, did not know, and actually found out that she's less than 5 minutes from my sister. So this is good stuff. Katie, welcome to the Amazon's podcast. Thanks for coming on. How are you doing? How is this prepping going?
Prepping has been honestly pretty seamless so far. It's been a very smooth ride so far. We've got a couple more weeks and hopefully things continue that direction.
So this is your third pro season.
Mm-hmm.
Got your pro card in 2020?
Correct. At North Americans.
North Americans in Pittsburgh. Were you always women's physique?
No, I started in figure back in 2012. I competed for 2012 to 2015. I took about 4 years off. Had my daughter March of 2019 and returned to stage 6 months after I had her. And I started off thinking I was just going to do figure, but my posing coach thought that I had potential to do physique. So we hopped into both at the show here in Columbus, and I ended up winning overall in physique and then my class in figure. So she made a great decision for me.
Good stuff. So you're under the Ohio NPC. Who's the female promoter out there?
The female promoter, I'm not sure about female, but Dave Lieberman's one. Julie Davies and Mike Davies are two of the big ones. Julie Palmer is her show. And then Mike has the Ohio State show here in the fall.
Right. They got shows throughout Dayton and Columbus. Of course, the Arnolds is there because everybody just know the Arnolds, but it's a lot going on there in Ohio under the Ohio NPC. So, I'm going to try to get out there to see some of the shows as well. Especially since family there. Yeah, because it's great. It's an easy trip for me. But I mean free lodging and food. So
that's always nice.
Money. So what do you do there in Columbus when you're not competing or training?
So when I am not doing my own training and my own competing, I actually own my own business, Younger Bodies, and it is personal training and nutrition coaching. I coach competitors, I coach lifestyle clients. I also have a handful of athletes who are triathletes and then marathoners, since I'm a former runner myself. I coach CrossFit here in Bexley. And then in my CrossFit gym, we just opened a new build connected to called Bexley Strength, where I coach strength-based classes. So it's like very much tuned into where I want to be.
So you really got the whole gamut.
Yes.
Triathletes, CrossFit, lifestyle, and regular competitors. Which one do you enjoy the most?
Although I do enjoy, so with competitors, I have a handful of male and female. I like working with men as competitors. I feel like they tend to whine less, or if they're being told by a female, like do A, B, and C, they're just like, yes, ma'am. But outside of that, I love working with moms, whether they're competitors, lifestyle clients, they're trying to conceive, they're pregnant. Being a mom myself, I understand the mentality, the body changes. So, regardless of whether they want to compete or just get in better shape or, have a new quote mom bod, and
Hmm.
kind of defy that stereotype of what moms should look like. That's my favorite little area to work with.
You work with student athletes as well. I mean, it is up there, the Ohio State University, as
The
well as a
Ohio
load of
State,
high schools out there. Huber
um,
Heights. That's one of the
Huber
big.
Heights, yeah, that's
Yeah.
near Dayton, so that's about an
Yep.
hour from here.
Yeah.
I myself do not work with a ton of high schoolers or students. When I used to teach high school for inner city, I used to coach track and cross country. So
Hmm.
since then, though, I have not really dabbled in the youth area.
Right. So now that you're looking forward to it, you got this your third pro season. What shows are you looking at this season?
I am planning to do the Texas Pro and then a week later the MaxFit Masters Pro down in Florida.
Now the Texas Pro, what 14K
Yeah,
up for
Sarah
grabs?
is so good to
Sarah,
the division.
Sarah
I mean,
Vaega,
what
I
she
love it.
has done for women's physique is phenomenal.
Yes, yes. And everybody's gonna be coming for it. If that prize money goes up, it's gonna bring out all the big dogs. That's for
Oh
sure.
yeah. It was a big show last year. It's going to be bigger this year, and I know Freddie, the promoter, really wanted to expand it, and it's actually like a mini sports festival. So if it's going to go how he like wanted it to go, there's going to be
Hmm.
stuff besides just bodybuilding there. So that'll be
Right.
kind of neat.
And one of the biggest places, I mean, the Texas Pro doesn't get any better than that. Last
No,
week was the Republic of Texas, and it's like I think it was last week,
that was
but
last week. Yeah.
it's definitely growing. You know, Texas, Florida, all the big shows, big money. Women's physique this year started out a little slow. What people weren't showing up at the shows. Would you rather pick a early show or like you are now, or does it even
I'd
matter?
rather I'd rather dive into a competitive show. I mean, does that mean I'm going to place as high as I'd want to? No, but I'd rather go and earn my placing fair and
Hmm.
square, knowing I'm up against some of those top tier competitors than walking in. I mean, like it was like at regional shows where you would get second out of three competitors, and then people post like, "Oh, I got second, but there were three of you."
Yeah.
I'd rather
Yeah.
place wherever I place, knowing that there are 15, 20, 25 women in a class. So I'd
Right.
rather go more competitive.
What was your judges' feedback over the last 3 years that they said you need to improve on?
My first pro season, it was size. Last year was just overall size. And then so last year was what year was last year? 2022. Or no, that was 2 years ago. So my first pro season was 2022, and that was a year after I had my twins. So that biggest piece of feedback besides size was core control. But I carried twins for 38 and a half weeks. So like that didn't surprise me, but my biggest thing in general was just overall size. So this past off season, I hammered away at eating, like Justin got my food intake up so high. I don't complain about that stuff. I think only at the very end, I was like, this is so much food. It was like
Hmm.
pounds of rice a day. But just bringing overall size, conditioning has never really been a bigger issue for us. Like right now at 3 weeks out, my conditioning is better than it's ever been. And we still have
Hmm.
lots of time left. So yeah, just size, and we've done what we can with the time we've had.
So, in your background, I thought it was amazing that you ran marathons.
Mhm.
I mean, and typically, marathons make you real thin, burns fat, not very muscular as a marathoner. How did that transition go from running marathons into bodybuilding?
So for me, transitioning between the two, so a little sidebar, I've always
Mhm.
been hyper competitive with myself. In high school, I did cross country and track. Although they're team sports, it's an individual performance. Yeah, your
Right.
points add up at the end of a meet, but I've always been that person. I'm like, okay, if I want to do well, this training is in my hands. My marathon training, it was always, if I don't get my butt out of bed at 5 a.m. on a Saturday to run 20 miles, no one else is going to do it. So when I got into lifting and putting more structure behind it, I started seeing the results. Actually, my first two shows, like ever back in 2012, I continued to run. And I learned
Mhm.
very quickly that I could not maintain muscle on a cut while running, while trying to actually look semi muscular on stage.
Right.
so I gradually phased out running. I ran the Boston Marathon the year of the bombing, and that was like
Wow.
I was burnt out at that point, and
Hmm.
I like got to Boston. I was like, I don't even want to run. And then I finished, and that all happened, and I was like, is this a sign from God? Like, Katie, you need to stop running. So that was
Yeah.
my last full marathon. I ran 2 more halves after that, and then dove completely back into bodybuilding.
Where, where
Go
were
ahead.
you when you ran the Boston Marathon and the bomb went off? Had you
So I
finished
had
it? Were you
finished.
off it?
I was on Boylston, which is the street where you finish,
Right.
and my parents were there, so I found them, and we're like maybe just under half mile from the finish line, still on the same road. And at the
Hmm.
time, my brother's friend lived in Boston, worked for Sam Adams. So we're like, okay, we're gonna go find John right now. We literally
Right.
turned around to go that direction, and the first one went off, and we were
Mm.
just kind of stopped, and we're like, what is that? And then the second one went off like 10 seconds later, and it was the most surreal thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen Patriots Day, any of the movies about
Hmm.
it, but I mean, the way they depicted it in the movie was like spot on. It was like calm chaos. Like they pushed us out of the finish line area really quickly. We stayed pretty close to the finish line. And
Right.
that whole next like 24 hours, it was so eerie. It was so silent in that city. But I kind of took that whole experience as like my sign from above
Yeah.
that it was time to be done. So as I started transitioning more into lifting, less running, less cardio,
Hmm.
I loved it. Like my body wasn't just this skinny little frame that could move well.
Hmm.
I've always kept cardio in my training. I like cardio. It makes me feel good. But it's been so cool to watch my body like evolve that way.
Hmm.
And it's just what the human body is capable of in general just amazes me on the daily basis. So it was pretty cool to watch.
Do you miss it?
No, I do not.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I coach CrossFit. So, in off season, if I like really want to do something a little more endurance based, I'll jump into like a longer workout that has barbell and maybe biking. I will not run. Um, but I don't miss running. My joints feel really good. So they were not so great when I was running 70, 80 miles a week.
What do you think the major difference is between CrossFit and bodybuilding?
Um, on terms of training and lifting, the technique behind it,
Hmm.
um, as I mentioned, I coach, at CrossFit, but we also have a new building and it's called Bexley Strength. So it's very strength focused. It's like an actual gym instead of just CrossFit with machines and racks and power racks, platforms. But when I was coaching today, somebody asked me like, why does this feel so much better than CrossFit? You're not doing reps for time. You're not
Right.
moving to move. You're not trying to beat a time cap. You're actually focusing on those contractions and the mechanics behind each movement and what muscles you're activating. And I think just the intent behind each movement versus just going to be the fastest
Right.
is the biggest difference.
So basically, muscle strength versus muscle endurance. Would you say?
Mhm. I think that's a
And
really good way to
obviously,
put it.
okay. Obviously, I would venture to say CrossFit has more injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like it also depends on the coach.
Hmm.
If you're working with a coach who's super vigilant and really like if you came into a CrossFit class and I know you've never done this, it's my job as a coach to say
Hmm.
like, okay, Glenn, like we're gonna work on this. Like today, one of our members brought like his brother-in-law who was like 13 to class, and I'm like, okay, I'm teaching a strength class. It's not usually a kid's class.
Mm.
But I made sure to like really watch him. He tried to put more weight on the bar than was necessary, like this twiggy little boy.
Oh.
And he literally pulled such a teenager move, like rolled his eyes at me when I tried to help him. But he's not like this muscular woman is trying to correct me.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But yeah, again, like injuries probably tend to be more common in that kind of environment. But again, it depends on your coach, how you're listening to their coach, your
Right.
cues. So same kind of thing.
Well, which one of those do you enjoy more, bodybuilding
Between
versus CrossFit?
bodybuilding, 100%.
But you love coaching it all, and that's great. So
I do. I do.
tell me a story about one of your lifestyle clients. The biggest difference. I know you say you like working with moms, But
I
tell
do
me
like working with moms. So
testimonial.
I have a client. I actually met her when I was pregnant with my daughter. So she's 6 years ago now. I met
Mm-hmm.
her. We connected really well. We were working together like in an office environment. This was before my business went like completely full time. And she had a background of kind of like weight loss journey, just struggles on her own. So we connected. Um, and she really learned to trust me. And that's the biggest thing, whether you're a bodybuilding coach, lifestyle coach, is gaining that trust of a client, of an athlete. And when she got pregnant with her first, we made the adjustments necessary so she didn't gain excessive weight. So she still felt good in her skin throughout pregnancy, postpartum as well. And we worked through her pregnancy. We were able to like dodge the gestational diabetes
Mm-hmm.
markings. And I love it. And I worked with her postpartum through our second pregnancy. I'm working with her now. And again, we met 6 years ago. So to watch people grow, not just physically, but like watch their mental health improve. And for women learning how to handle pregnancy and postpartum, because obviously you yourself have not been pregnant.
No,
It's such
but I've
a,
experienced the postpartum from the reverse end. It's not
oh
fun.
yeah. I mean, it's
And it's
rough
hard
on
to
everyone, but
understand what they're going through too. So,
exactly.
young fathers need to understand it because at the time it's like, what the world is wrong with you?
And you, as a mom, it's hard to even put it into words.
Hmm.
So for me to have female clients who trust me with opening up about their struggles or their emotions or how they're feeling in their body, pregnant and postpartum, like that means so much to me. And again, like I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, but I have life experience with
Right.
pregnancies. And I think
Hmm.
people just being in that vulnerable state, be able to connect with someone on that
Hmm.
level is massive because I like one of my best friends is an OBGYN and
Hmm.
she was great. But I think if you don't have that right person as a female, like your spouse will support you, but they don't get it. So I want to be that person for those
Right.
moms.
Your coach is Justin Jacoby. I
Yes.
think you're like the third or fourth athlete that I run into that is his coach via photo shoot or interview. Jess Falborn most recently. How
Mhm.
did you meet him, and how has that whole relationship been working for you?
Um, so a friend of mine, his name is Nick, who I've known literally since we were 5 in kindergarten. I
Hmm.
was living up in the Akron area, the Northeastern
Right.
Ohio area. Nick worked with a former Olympian previously before working with Justin, and he got okay results. And then he switched to Justin, and his results were day and night difference. Prep
Mm.
just seemed smoother. He didn't vocalize stress as much. So I asked Nick, like, hey, tell me about Justin. How's your experience with him? I was searching for a new coach who is a good fit for me. And
Mhm.
he reached out to Justin and said, hey, like, my friend is a pro and is looking for someone. We jumped on the phone call, talked almost an hour. And, he talked not only about his coaching styles, but his expectations as like from an athlete to an athlete. And it was so eye to eye with how I coach my athletes, how I operate myself as an athlete, what my expectations for myself are, for what a
Mhm.
coach's expectations are. So it was just it made sense. And I started working with him June of last year. So we didn't really prep together. I kind of switched
Right.
coaches mid prep. And I was in such a weird spot when I got with him that I wasn't sure I was going to be able to compete.
Mhm.
But in the time that we jumped in, we had like 8 weeks between when I started in Tampa last year. I mean, he
Mhm.
got my conditioning to a great spot. And then I had my first full off season with him, and
Mhm.
prep's just been smooth this year. So it was this seamless transition. He's comfortable for me to talk to. Like if something's going on, like I can share that with him. I never feel judged. And he is just
Right.
raw and honest. And in bodybuilding, like you don't want someone who's gonna be like, oh, that's okay. Like if you
Mhm.
mess up, you want a coach who's gonna be like, you screwed up today. Um, but Justin is just down to earth. He lives the lifestyle we live. He's a pro himself.
Mhm.
Actually, last year when I did Texas, that was his pro debut. But he was like, you can still do the show. I compete the day before and then I'll focus on you. So I mean, not many
That's
coaches do that.
that's some crisis management right there.
I mean,
Uh,
he had his coach, he had Matt Jansen. Matt was there
mhm.
for him. He was there for us. And he never complained. He was never like, oh, I'm so stressed. Like he just rolled with it, and I never felt like a burden to him in that situation. Um, I mean, his behaviors speak volumes about the quality of person he is.
That's great. So is this this will be your second pro show with him?
Mhm.
Okay. What has he told you
In
that you need
terms
to
of,
improve? What have you guys been working on?
so we've been working, well, like I said,
I know you
size,
told me you needed size, but
and
is there
then
anything specifically
anything what, I'm sorry?
from your back, legs? How do you want to
Specifically,
grow?
we wanted to bring up my legs a little bit more and my glutes, which we have, like, so we're 3 weeks out tomorrow. What day is today? Thursday. 3 weeks out on Saturday from,
You trying to feel it
Texas,
already?
and,
Huh?
like,
Yeah,
you know what? As a mom of 3, I'm like, "What day
yeah,
is it?" Is
yeah.
it,
That's some
but
great balance though to be in prep and be a mom as you're going into peak week. Yeah,
oh, yeah. But my conditioning right now is better than it was on stage last year. I mean, obviously, we
mhm,
haven't pulled water and dried out, but, like, my glutes
right.
are getting striated right now at 3 weeks out, like, they've never been like that.
Hmm.
My So we brought up my legs, brought up my glutes a lot. My back, like, blew up. I was working with a strength coach. He used to coach at Westside Barbell.
Uh huh.
So I worked with Joe Lasco is his name. I worked with him for,
Hmm.
a little over a year, and between Justin and Joe, and then now I have a new, like, strength coach, it's just all the pieces have fit perfectly and gotten me where I need to be.
That's great. How did you meet Haley Perry?
Oh gosh. So there's a gym here in
You
Columbus.
know, her best of friends. Tell me.
Yeah, so Metro Fitness here in Worthington.
Right.
That's Mike Davies' gym. Um,
Hmm.
Haley and her husband Marcus went there like years ago. I used to go there every now and then. And, like, I don't remember, like, the pinpoint, like, initial meet and greet, but, when it's a small fitness community, everyone just kind of
Yes.
knows everyone. So we formally met at some point years ago.
Hmm.
Um, and then, especially being women's physique, that is a very small community.
Yes.
Um, so, when Haley and I both switched from figure to physique, it was like, okay, like, I turned pro in 2020 at North Americans. She turned pro at North Americans in 2021.
Hmm.
My husband has actually known Marcus for years, just through
Right.
people. And I don't know. I mean, she's a sweetheart. She's awesome. She looks great. She and Marcus are both doing Chicago this weekend, but it's a
Yeah.
very, like, Columbus is a big hub for fitness, like you pointed out, but
Hmm.
everybody knows everyone here, whether it's just a name or anything beyond that.
Excited to see how they do.
Me
Sooner or
too.
later, you and her are gonna meet on stage. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. We actually did. She and I both did nationals in 2019 down when it was in Miami. So she was in class B, I was in class C.
Right.
I got third, and then I think she got fourth or fifth in her class down there. But yeah, so she and I have always kind of coexisted in the same little realm, whether it's in
Hmm.
Florida, Ohio. So she's a sweetheart.
What are your short-term goals as you're looking
Um,
down the 2024 season? What are your long-term goals going out into 2025?
so 2024, I would like to crack the top 10 at my shows. With Texas Pro being so big, I think that's a good goal to have.
Right.
And anything beyond that would be great. Max Fit Pro, it's a master show. I've never done a master show. So same kind of goals, if not higher. I just, this might sound cliche, but I just want to go have fun. Like, this is, for being 3 and 4 weeks out, my confidence is in a really good spot. Definitely not ego
Right.
driven, but, like, I know the work I've put in. I know the changes I've made in a year, less than a year. So I feel good. And then after those 2 shows, like, we haven't even discussed 2025, but I'm thinking I'll just take 2025 to grow. Um,
Okay.
my daughter starts kindergarten, and then my twins will start preschool. So I think for,
Yeah.
like, the 2024-25 school year, I just kinda want to focus on them.
Yeah.
Those are the ages where they're noticing things. My daughter, being a little girl and being 5, she's starting to ask me, like, "Why can't you eat this stuff?" And I try to frame it in a way that
Yeah.
is healthy. I mean, little girls notice their mommies doing things, and not to say boys don't, but I kind of want to make sure her mind is in a good spot with this stuff. They all know that mommy and daddy leave for the gym once a day.
Mhm.
But so we'll see. Again, Justin and I haven't even discussed next year. We want to get through these shows, but I would love to continue to grow. I'd love for my legs to get a little bit bigger. Nobody's ever complained about that. So we'll see. I just want to keep excelling and improving.
Does your husband compete as well?
No, he is a CrossFitter. He does CrossFit and
Yeah. Well, CrossFit
he's
competes.
very supportive, and all I care
Yeah.
about is I have a spouse who's active and supports me. So
Right. That's great.
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, because they're on ESPN and the whole nine and stuff, but it's pretty intense
Oh yeah.
for sure.
And yeah, he's done CrossFit for geez, 15 years. So yeah, he's kind of the one who pulled me into it for a while, and I liked it. Anything with a
Right.
barbell and endurance, I'm like, I got this.
Right.
But jump rope, all that stuff, no, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna let you out of here on this one.
Yes.
You're from Columbus, Ohio.
Mhm.
Are you an Ohio State fan or are you a Michigan fan? Because my
Definitely not a
family is
Michigan
like
fan.
split. My family is split.
Not a Michigan fan, but so we moved to Columbus when I was in high school, like right before I started high
Right.
school. So being from Akron, it was like I was Cleveland everything, like
Yeah.
the Browns, the
Yeah, the
Indians, not the
Akron
Guardians.
Zips.
Yes, but like I was all Cleveland sports, and I moved down here right before school. So I remember football season starting, and it was such like this almost like cult like vibe that oh, you're not an Ohio State fan, like it was so weird to me. Like, I like going to the games, like the horseshoe. I don't know if you've been to a game there. It
Mm-mm.
is
Yep.
surreal.
I actually took my son up for the Ohio State football camp. So yeah, I know the
Oh,
whole
I
it's
mean,
pretty
it's
awesome back when Tressel was the coach.
he's
Yeah.
great. Like last year, I have a friend who played on the 01 championship team. So
Hmm.
we went to the game with him and all the guys from the team. So we sat like corner pocket, like right off the field. We were with all
Nice.
these like former NFL players. So those experiences are cool, but like there are people here, like if OSU loses, they're like, oh, my weekend is ruined. I don't. I'm
Life is
used to
over.
being a Browns fan, so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, these 19 and 20-year-old kids don't care about us. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I
I'm
guess we
definitely
gotta
OSU
follow
over
up. Do you like the
Michigan.
Browns or you like the Bengals?
I'm a
Or neither?
Browns fan. I'm
Okay.
diehard Browns. It's very sad, but
Well, hey, they're coming on. They're coming on.
every year we're like, it's going to be our season. In true Cleveland fashion, we could be ahead, and then it's like the last 37 seconds and we blow it. But
Yeah.
it just never surprises me. But that's okay.
Katie Younger, I really appreciate your time. Looking forward to coming and shooting you here in a couple of weeks on the 27th and
Absolutely.
28th. And spread the word. Any competitors out there that want to shoot while I'm there, let me know. Because I'm always trying to build content. This will be for the September issue. So, yeah,
Beautiful.
trying to make it happen.
Well, thank you so much, Glenn. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you too. And I will see you soon. Let me check these last comments to see if anybody. Let me shoot this question at you. Does Katie incorporate any CrossFit into her training?
Not during prep. And I think Justin would murder me if I was like, hey, I was doing box jumps today. But if I'm like in off season and there's a workout that's, endurance based and I just want some cardio, I'll do that. But for the most part, it's pretty far removed for me.
All right. All the other questions they had, we've already covered that content. I really appreciate you. Going to talk to you soon,
Thank
and
you
I'll
so
let you
much.
get to bed because you still are in prep. So I know you need your hours.
This is true.
Talk soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Glenn.
All right. Bye bye. Katie Younger, looking forward to shooting here in a couple of days, couple of weeks. Well, really, I think next weekend, 27 and 28. I haven't lost track of time myself. Coming up, it's Wellness Wednesday. That's probably going to kick off at 9 o'clock. Just got a message from Melissa Guerrero, so stay tuned for that. Coming up on Friday, tomorrow, Winsome White, just off stage of the Atlanta Pro at 7:30 p.m. And then Salika Given will be on the podcast at 8:30. Just also off stage at the Atlanta Pro. So looking for some great feedback from them and talk to them how it was. I was there front row and center, so it was a great show, and saw them on stage, and they both looked amazing. So looking forward to talking to them. Coming up on Saturday, Virginia Sanchez. Today you saw she made a big announcement about not competing this year. She was also on the list for the Rising Phoenix. So I'm excited to talk to her and see what everything is going on and what her future plans are. And other than that, I will see you guys shortly for Wellness Wednesday. And then, of course, I'll talk about who's coming on the podcast next week. So stay tuned, talk soon, and we will see you shortly.